Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. Today, I will provide you with the facts as we know them right now related to the investigation and ultimately the officer-involved shooting that occurred on June 28th. The initial investigation started on June 18th of this year when a male subject in a vehicle brandished a firearm at a pedestrian in the 900 block of West Cutting. As the brandishing of the firearm occurred, the suspect asked the victim if he wanted to get shot. The suspect then drove away, and the victim reported the incident to our department. The victim was able to provide a good description of the suspect as well as the vehicle he was driving, which he described as a silver BMW with red interior. The next incident occurred on June 26th at approximately 1:30 a.m. Two victims reported that they were in the 100 block of Washington Avenue when a suspect pointed a handgun at them. The victims reported that the suspect fired 2 shots as he drove away. One of the victims was able to identify the suspect by name. The victims also provided a description of the vehicle as a silver BMW with red interior and provided a partial license plate of the vehicle. During this investigation, shell casings were recovered at the location in which the victims said the suspect fired the handgun. As officers continued their investigation, they were able to link the 2 cases together and identified the suspect as 63-year-old Jose Martinez. During the course of the investigation, officers learned that Martinez was a convicted felon and was prohibited from possessing firearms due to his previous convictions. On June 28th, at approximately 4 a.m., officers located Mr. Martinez driving on I-580 near Regatta. A traffic stop was made and suspect Martinez was arrested for the 2 incidents described. During the arrest, Martinez admitted to being in possession of a firearm and the gun was recovered in the vehicle. However, that firearm did not match the description given by the victims. Suspect Martinez admitted he had 3 additional guns at his home on Sanderling Island. A search warrant was then obtained for the Sanderling Island residence. Officers arrived at the residence at 9:09 a.m. They knocked and announced their presence prior to making entry into the residence. The officers made entry through a garage door due to the front door being inaccessible. The officers slowly and methodically cleared the residence, continually announcing their presence. As they entered the last bedroom of the residence, they encountered 66-year-old Kevin McDonald seated on a bed, armed with the AR-15 style rifle. Mr. McDonald pointed the rifle at the officers and the OIS occurred. Officers rendered first aid to Mr. McDonald, but unfortunately, he succumbed to his injuries. The Contra Costa law enforcement involved fatal protocol was invoked, and the Contra Costa District Attorney's Office responded to investigate. A subsequent search of the residence resulted in the recovery of 53 firearms. 48 of those firearms were recovered in Mr. McDonald's bedroom, 17 of which were ghost guns. Well over 1,000 rounds of ammunition were recovered, a live pineapple hand grenade, and gun manufacturing equipment were all recovered from the residence. Agents from ATF responded to the scene due to the number of firearms recovered, as well as the possibility of gun manufacturing. The bomb squad from Travis Air Force Base responded and took possession of the live grenade. On June 30th, suspect Jose Martinez was subsequently charged with 9 criminal counts, including weapons possession, criminal threats, and brandishing a weapon. We have raw video from the incident that we will share with you, but before we do that, I want to express my sincere condolences to the family of Mr. McDonald. The loss of a loved one is never easy, and I understand it is especially difficult under these circumstances. With that, I'll turn it back over to Sergeant Patchen to provide you with the photos and the video. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have 2 videos that are clips from one of the officer-involved body-worn camera, as well as some photos that were taken at the scene that we'd like to present to you. I would like to advise that one of the videos is going to show the actual officer-involved shooting, so it could be disturbing to your viewers.
So turn around to the screen.
Yeah, so we want to go that way now.
Yeah, give us just 1 second.
Yep.
And these will be available online as well.
Correct. So these are going to be 2 clips because it's an 8-minute long video. One of the involved officers that did shoot, that full 8-minute video is going to be released online, and I'll provide you the information on how to obtain that.
Do you mind killing that? Is the lighting okay? Do you mind killing the top light on your camera?
Oh, shoot. Sorry about that.
Are you good with the other lighting?
Can you kill that light, please? Is that good?
And just to set it up for you guys, the first video is just going to show the officers approaching the residence and shows that they did make their knock and announce notices. The second video clip is going to show the officers as they encounter Mr. McDonald.
Is this edited video?
It is, again, clips from the entire 8-minute video, and that 8-minute video will be available online for you to view afterwards.
Unedited, besides
Correct.
the redactions.
Correct.
The redactions being the names of?
Street signs or identifiable marks for the residents, obviously things that were required by law not to disclose in the video.
Hey, which way is the door knob, right or left? Richmond Police Department, search warrant, open the door! Richmond Police Department, search warrant, demand entry! Richmond Police Department, search warrant, demand entry! Richmond Police Department, search warrant, demand entry! It's like a workshop.
We're stopping the video there. Officers do continue to announce for another length of time, requesting entry. You'll notice the timestamp on this video is 9:09. We're going to fast forward to approximately 9:14. At that point, a search had occurred within the residence, and we've moved forward to the time where they're actually going to encounter Mr. McDonald.
And again, the full video will be online.
Come up. Door over here. Hang on. You good, Rob? Good? Yep. Okay, all right. Got one more room. You wanna pull that thing out of the way? Yep. All right, here we go. Richmond Police, over your head! Over your head! Let's go, let's go. Clear the room. Hold the blanket. Hey, 10:45 C minus, start medical. Hold the blanket.
We end the video there. What I am presenting to you next are going to be several still photographs that were taken from the scene. The first video is going to be the assault or AR-style pistol that was recovered from Mr. McDonald at the scene.
Is that the one he was holding?
Correct.
And you said he did point it at the officers?
Correct. It is visible being recovered in the full video if you slow down the video.
You said that's a pistol, is it just because of the
It has to do with the configuration. It is considered an AR style pistol. It does shoot an AR or a rifle round, but it's classified as a pistol. This would be the explosive device that was located. Also, you can refer to it as a pineapple grenade.
How many rounds of ammo did you say?
There was well over 1,000. There was a lot of ammunition located in the residence.
And the ammo was used for what kind of weapon, or what?
There was 53 weapons, so all different calibers. There was multiple calibers located.
1,000 kinds of ammunition at that?
Over 1,000 rounds of ammunition.
Total of 53
Total of
weapons
53.
with the ghost guns?
Yes. Okay.
Sergeant, could we get see the photo image one more time of the AR style 15 weapon again?
Let me continue through the next ones, and again, all of these images are going to be available at the link I provided, so you can download them and utilize them.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is a selection of handguns. Again, we didn't show pictures of all the guns because there were so many, but this is a snapshot of some of the firearms that were recovered at the location. I believe all of those were ghost guns, which means that they did not have serial numbers and were illegally manufactured. This is a selection of AR-style rifles and other rifles that were located at the scene. I believe you can also see a high-capacity drum in one of the photos. And that's it for the photos. Again, there was numerous photos that were taken at the scene. Those are the ones that we are releasing at this time.
So we can come back to you for Q&A?
Yes.
Un momento.
It's good.
5 seconds.
Good when you guys are.
Good.
Sergeant, do we know the relationship between Martinez and McDonald, roommate, domestic partners, friends?
They are friends and roommates. Again, they both lived at the residence together. They're not relatives, acquaintances or friends.
And then prior to you guys making entry, do you have any idea of McDonald's existence and the existence of all those weapons there, or did you think that you would just find several weapons linked to Martinez there?
The information that we had was that there was going to be 2 individuals in the house. We had no information regarding the large cache of weapons that we ultimately found in the house. The only information that we had was that Mr. Martinez did illegally possess 3 additional firearms, and the original intent was to go to retrieve those firearms from his bedroom.
Were they, those 3 there in 17 or whichever ones that didn't belong to McDonald?
Correct. So the remaining weapons that weren't located in Mr. McDonald's room were either located in Mr. Martinez's bedroom or in other areas of the house.
Does McDonald have a criminal history?
Yes. He has prior felony arrests that preclude him from possessing a firearm.
What, were they violent crimes?
I believe there were some weapons violations in the 1990s.
I couldn't hear on the video. Did he say anything when the door was open?
He does say something. I believe it's something to the effect of "Don't come in here" right as the door is opening. It's a little hard to make out, but he does say something as they're announcing their presence and they enter the room.
Did he ever post anything online that was anti-police or anything like that?
We had he wasn't on our radar at all. There was nothing to indicate, again, the large cache of weapons or what was occurring inside that residence prior to our arrival.
Was he known to be a member of any militias and or supremacy groups to your knowledge?
I don't have any information regarding that. I don't believe we have anything that leads to that, but that would be why, as the chief mentioned, we did have the ATF involved, and they're
Yes,
going to
sir.
be exploring any of those connections potentially.
Thank you.
Was he selling the guns? The ones they were manufacturing?
We don't know at this time. Again, that's where the ATF becomes involved because there is a potential for that. So there was, again, gun manufacturing equipment, whether it was being used or whether he was manufacturing guns, is still being investigated.
I'm trying to get into this guy's mind. I'm sure you are too, but you know, obviously you guys make your presence known, and if you're gonna have a gun in your lap and you know the police are gonna open the door, you're most likely gonna get shot. So, any idea what was going on there?
I can't speak to what was going through his mind. I can just say that I'm grateful that our officers weren't harmed. It could have been a lot worse.
And just to make clear, obviously, the officer's presence, not from the outside, everyone knows that the officers are there, but did McDonald have any warning prior to that, maybe by Martinez, hey, or he realized Martinez is overextended, not home at the time, and
I don't believe so. Again, if you look at the timeline, Mr. Martinez is stopped at around 4 o'clock in the morning. He's then interviewed. There's time to write and seek the search warrant. So within approximately 5 hours of him being arrested is when we're back at the residence. Whether he knew that Mr. Martinez hadn't returned or whether Mr. Martinez was even supposed to return, I wouldn't be able to speak on. But I don't think he had any idea or any foreshadowing that we were going to be there that morning.
And his gun was loaded?
It was loaded, operational, and there was a round in the chamber.
an AR-15 in question that we just, is it legally registered, or is this one of the illegally held guns?
It's illegal based on its configuration in the state of California.
And was the gun pointed?
Okay, and I believe it was a ghost gun also.
And was the gun pointed at the officer making entry?
Correct.
And how many officers fired?
2.
And do we know both their rounds hit the suspect?
We're not speaking to how many shots were fired or were those rounds impacted, but there were two shooters.
And what are the ranks, genders of the 2 officers who fired?
One was a male sergeant and one is a male detective.
Male lieutenant?
Detective.
Detective.
Are you gonna identify them?
Going back to the grenade, was that an M26 grenade, or we don't know?
I wouldn't be able to speak to that. Again, the Travis bomb squad did respond.
Yes.
They did determine it was an actual live grenade, and then it was removed from the scene for destruction. And for your question, I can't identify the officers if you'd like. One of the involved officers was Sergeant Alexander Kane. He is a 16-year veteran of the department. And the other officer is Detective Robert Branch, and he is also a 16-year veteran of the department.
And how do you spell Kane for Alex?
C-A-I-N-E.
At one point, one of the officers said something like 1055 C minus. I know 1055 means probably deceased, right? And what does C minus mean, or does that mean something else?
1040.
Correct. So
1045.
1045 is a code that we use to indicate the health status of a subject. So a 1045A would mean the subject has either no injuries or minor injuries, and it's a degrading system. So B would mean injury, C is not great, and D would mean that they are deceased.
Sergeant Patchett, and the detective's last name was Branch?
Correct, correct.
Like a tree branch?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And going back to what he was asking about, any militia connections, is there any writings or anything in there that you found, things that he's left behind that might give you an indication of what his motive was?
The scene was extensive. Officers were there and detectives were there till Friday searching. It was an immense scene. What the ATF, DA's office, and our investigators uncovered, I believe they're still sorting through things. So I don't have any information regarding whether there was or not, but I believe that, again, the ATF is involved, so that will be an angle they'll be investigating.
Well, let me ask you this, do you guys kind of know, but you still want to say it yet because they're still investigating? I mean, do you have?
No, I don't have any information. There was no obvious writings or, scrawlings on the wall or anything in plain view that I observed or that I'm aware of.
Do you know, did you say McDonald was charged by the DA as opposed to the U.S. attorney?
Martinez was charged.
I'm sorry, hold on. McDonald is dead. Martinez was charged by the DA or the U.S. attorney?
The Contra Costa District Attorney has currently filed the charges. Any other questions, gentlemen? Chief?
Just one question that you asked earlier about, did they announce their presence just before entering? I think we counted, there was actually throughout the search of the home, which you'll see in the longer video, I think they announced their presence over 50 times throughout the home.
And this is all gonna be available where? Online at your?
So the officers did announce themselves approximately 13 times.
I'm sorry, 13.
13 times during the entire search of the residence. Do you have a question?
Weapons all over the house. There was a storage unit also outside of the house. Weapons in that storage unit?
I have no
Possibly?
knowledge of a storage
Okay.
unit. There was a boat, it has a dock. I don't think there's anything located in that area of the house. I would say, I don't think there was anything in, the video will speak for itself. You'll be able to see numerous rifles in plain view when you enter his room. Prior to the entry into his room, it wasn't like there was rifles everywhere like that strewn throughout the house. I believe they were secreted in different areas of the house. So there was they had no way of knowing what they were really walking into. So there was it's not like we walked in and there was firearms strewn all throughout the living room and other areas. The first inkling they had of any firearms besides the one that Mr. McDonald, or Mr. Martinez mentioned, was when they opened that door and encountered Mr. McDonald.
Have you-
That is why you guys did a knock and announce as opposed to a dynamic forcing, surprise them.
Correct. I mean, there's different ways of searching a residence, and there's, quick and dynamic. I think it speaks for itself that the officer spent approximately 5 minutes of slowly, meticulously searching the residence. They announced their presence numerous times. They announced their presence as they're opening his door. This was not a fast, dynamic, rapid situation. We tried to slow things down for this exact reason, and they took their time. So I think it was very evident that they were inside the house. They made every effort. You'll see them actually call out to Kevin by name in the full video. They asked Kevin to show himself because they do believe he's in the residence. They had information that he was going to be in the residence. So they really tried to afford him every opportunity to peacefully surrender so that we didn't have this outcome.
And just to be clear, you guys knew Kevin by name and knew that he might be there, but certainly didn't know about the cash and obviously did not expect him to be sitting with an AR-15.
Correct. As part of his statement, Mr. Martinez indicated and provided us the names of the 2 residents that should be there. He provided no information regarding the large quantity of weapons that were there.
And you were there for Martinez, correct? You were going, as part of that Martinez investigation is what led you to the house. You weren't anticipating encountering.
He was not a subject. We weren't anticipating he was going to have the weapons. The purpose of the search warrant was to retrieve the weapons that Mr. Martinez illegally possessed, that he admitted he was possessing in his bedroom, as well as to obtain any other evidence from the brandishing and the discharge of the firearm incidents.
I'm sorry, there were 3 people who lived there, but, or you just said the names of the 2 people.
Correct. There was another uninvolved elderly resident, a homeowner that was not privy to the crimes. They're not involved in the crimes.
Were they in the house at the time?
They were located at the house. They cooperated. They were interviewed and released that day.
The father or the mother?
It was a family member of Mr. McDonald.
Okay. And what do you know what McDonald did for a living?
I do not know.
So clearly, your officers were very lucky. I mean, talk about how this could have ended.
I can't stress how lucky they were. There were, again, it speaks for itself. You can see the pictures of the numerous weapons. You can see the weapons that are in plain view and readily accessible by Mr. McDonald as they entered that room. This could have been very bad for our officers. We're very grateful that they weren't injured. It could have gone bad.
And that's why the ATF protocol, they came out because of the amount of weapons.
It had to do with the sheer quantity of the weapons and gun manufacturing equipment, and then throwing explosives. I think that hits all their initials.
Have you guys ever seen anything like this?
A large cache of weapons? I mean, I don't know in recent memory of a cache this large with that variance in quantity of weapons that I can recall.
And one more time, the elderly person in the house, male, female?
It was an elderly female.
Can you
And
say
how old?
I believe she was in her, I'll say she was in her 80s. She was
Thank
over
you.
80 years old.
And a family
McDonald's
member.
mother, can you just say that?
We're not releasing that information right now.
And then I just wanna make sure I got my notes right, so I'm gonna go back and listen to all the tape. 53 firearms, 48 were McDonald's in his bedroom, 17 of which were ghost guns.
That sounds correct.
Let me double check that.
She was taken out of the house before the officers opened fire?
No, she was present in the house.
She was present.
Correct. So there
Did
were
she give
the,
any indication of what was going on with her family member?
no.
Wow.
And the breakdown again was a total of 53 firearms. There were 23 pistols, 8 revolvers, 20 rifles, and 2 shotguns. Again, it was 48 located in his room, and then the remainder were located in other areas throughout the house. And I have a note that the majority of the weapons that were located were actually loaded at that time.
Wow.
I know you mentioned this earlier, but confirm if McDonald a convicted felon with priors to these?
Correct. So he along with Martinez, they're both convicted felons, so their felony convictions would preclude them from being able to lawfully possess a firearm. Not to mention the majority of the firearms are illegal to possess regardless of your status.
You said they're friends, correct?
Correct. They live together. They're obviously acquaintance. I don't know if they're
Roommates.
correct.
They lived in different rooms, correct?
Correct. I don't think there's any dating relationship or anything along those lines. I think they're just strictly roommates or friends.
I was wondering if I could get a photo image of you and Chief Bissett French together, please? Sure. Thank you.
Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
One more.
And Sergeant, can you say and spell your name again, please?
Sure, it's Donald, D-O-N-A-L-D, and the last name is Patchin, P-A-T-C-H-I-N.
Thank you, sir.
So the link, I'm gonna go speak with our crime analysis person. It should be posted. If not, it will be posted very shortly. I'll have a press release, which is available also on the table if you'd like, that kind of reiterates the information that we just discussed. Those pictures and the full, it's a redacted video, but the full video, it's approximately 8 minutes long, will be available online. If you go to the city's website and just look up police transparency, or you just, you can do an internet search for Richmond Police Transparency, it will bring you to that page. There's a link at the bottom that will list this case number, the date, and then it will have these documents listed below for you to access.